I am Commander Carrie Hudson, the Executive Officer on USNS Comfort. This is a video depicting a typical patient movement from ambulance drop-off at Pier 90 onto USNS Comfort and disposition into the various wards. As you can see, this patient was just dropped off from the ambulance and turnover is being given from the EMS, or the Emergency Medical Service team, to the receiving team at the patient triage tent on Pier 90. The patient is then being moved into the warmed or cooled, depending on the temperature outside, tent and will be transitioned into USNS Comfort gurneys. As you can see, care is being taken to maintain proper PPE per DoD and CDC guidelines. On initial presentation, all patients are considered to be presumed COVID positive. Until negative testing has been confirmed, all patients' appropriate PPE is maintained. It is decreased accordingly once COVID testing is determined. In this known COVID positive patient, we are bypassing the COVID negative ICU and moving towards the COVID positive ICU with the isolation ward. In this case, as you can see, we are still maintaining appropriate PPE and the patient continues to be masked, as was similar in the case of the COVID negative patient. This patient will be moved into the isolation ICU ward. She is now being appropriately secured to the gurney to ensure appropriate patient safety steps have been taken. Appropriate monitors are being secured, and if needed, oxygen or other telemetry would be applied at this point. Appropriate PPE is still being maintained. Each provider in the patient care transport team has a specific role. Upon arrival, all patients are also re-screened for any symptoms and a temperature is taken to ensure no symptoms of COVID have arisen prior to the patient arrival. The patient is now being moved from the triage tent to the brow and will be moved appropriately and safely across the brow onto the ship. The transportation from the brow into the casualty receiving portion of the ship involves a short ramp transition. They will then be met by another patient receiving team in casualty receiving, also known as CASRAC. Upon entrance into CASREC, the patient transport team is met by the receiving team. Upon entrance into patient casualty receiving, the patient is met by several other members of the care team. The patient is then banded for patient identification purposes. This is verified with the same information that was identified in the triage tent. The patient is then moved towards the location where the patient will be cared for, which is dependent on their COVID and acuity status. The receiving team is prepared to receive the patient. The total portion of this transport process takes approximately 10 minutes from start to finish.